G'day guys and welcome back to episode 2 of Build Wars. Today we're working on the GU again, and last episode you would have seen that we did a bunch of maintenance on this stuff. We did like all the servicing sort of things, so all the fluids, all the filters, we did belts, just gave it the full treatment, and now it's running absolutely mint. So the next step for us is to modify this thing, because obviously in its stock form, I don't think I'd be game to take it where we're going. I'm not looking forward to it. But Dan, what do we got lined up? We got some good stuff.
So we got a bunch of cool parts to throw at this thing and get it really set up for the sort of tracks we're going to be hitting. So I guess that's enough talking about it. Let's start fitting this stuff up.
Let's get stuck in.
5 teams, 5 unique builds. We've gathered a bunch of our great mates to take on Tasmania's toughest terrain, testing their skills, their rigs, and their resilience, all in support of men's health this Movember. This is King Chrome Build Wars.
So we've managed to sell this winch and the old bar as a combo and get it off our hands, which has also added some money back into our budget, which is going to be very helpful down the track. Now, the winch we've opted for requires us to fit a different bar anyway, so let's get straight into it. We'll get this old bar and the old winch out of the way, and then we'll take a look at what we're upgrading it for.
Now, you might be thinking, why are you getting rid of a perfectly good bar? And it's a great question, but one of the things we really wanted to upgrade on this car was the winch, and to do so, we're gonna need a new bar that can actually fit the winch we want.
Hey, look at that.
They're a bit rusted in there.
The bolt was seized, but the King Chrome gun don't care.
Big ugga dugger, or?
I reckon that one's...
The bull bar on this car has probably been on there since it rolled off the factory floor, so understandably, there are quite a few stubborn mounting bolts that we had to get under.
Ready? Try not to mash it too hard at the back. That's all.
Pro tip when you're trying to take a bull bar or any accessory off your car, make sure you undo all the bolts first.
The bash plate?
Oh, it's the bash plate.
What's the bash plate attached to?
No, I don't know, like little 10mm bolts.
Some ARB installers watching this like,
Rookies.
Apparently you need to undo all the bolts.
All right. Whoa.
There you go.
Oh, we got it off. So the bar's off and the GU's looking a bit bare, so we've got to sort that out. So we'll go jump in the car, and I think I know just the right place to go get something new for it. So to fit the new winch on the car, we've actually got to change the bull bar, because the ARB one that's on there will only fit a low mount. So we've got to get a new bar that's going to fit the high mount winch. So I've come down to Razzler. I said to Rob, I was like, we're doing it on a budget. Do you maybe have any like scratch bars or returned ones or anything that will fit a high mount? And he said, you know what, come down and we'll have a look around. So yeah, we're here at Razzler and we see if we can find something. Oh, there he is. How you doing, Rob?
Hello.
So I've come down because obviously for this GU, we want to put a high mount in it, and the current bar isn't going to cut it. And I was hoping that in this factory of yours, it's probably my best chance of finding something that will fit what we need. So, have you got anything here, maybe?
I think you're the luckiest person alive, because I'm pretty sure we've got a GU bar guy. He wanted like a comp bar, and we built an Azza bar, so we had to swap it over, but we have put it on the car. So it's had bolts and a winch and stuff in it, so I can't sell it.
Yeah.
I'll double check, let's have a look.
That sounds perfect for us anyway.
So we have lots of spare ones up here to choose from, but so yeah, that one there. So,
there you go.
Like I say, it's been on the car, so it's not new, so sort of just been chucked in the corner, but
yeah, perfect.
Very lucky.
All right, well, wicked. Oh yeah, well, we'll have a look, and we'll I reckon that'll be the one for the car. So this is the bar that Rob's found for us, which I've actually seen quite a few of these getting around on GUs. They're pretty cool, and yeah, best of all, it fits a high mount winch, which is essential for what we need. So yeah, it's got a couple fitting scuff marks, but that's fine, because yeah, we're going to be sticking it on the car anyway, and it's going to be getting bashed in some mud and some hard tracks. So yeah, that'll be perfect.
I've secretly been, expecting a visit. Well, I've been hoping you might call in with the build going on.
He's been anticipating it. Nah, that's wicked. All right, let's get it in the car and we'll get it home. Here we go. I think you'll like it. It looks pretty good. Yeah, it has been fitted once before, but other than that, it's practically new. So I was pretty lucky that Rob had it.
Yeah.
There, but obviously it's going to be perfect for what we need to do in fitting a big boy winch. So, yeah.
Ooh. Get a look at that thing.
Yeah, plenty of space for activities.
Yeah, there's a bit more room in there.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what we need.
Yeah, exactly right. So we've got the bar and we're just about ready to bolt it onto the GU. Now, as Rob said, this is the Aussie bar, and pretty much the reason we needed this thing is because it's built to handle a high mount winch. So in terms of that, what are we sticking in here? It is a high mount, and Dan's been working on it in his shed for the last couple of weeks. So we'll go take a look at what he's been up to.
Now this is a Warn 8274, and it is probably the winch you think of when you think of a high mount. Now you might be looking at that winch and thinking, Dan, I'm not sure I'd trust that for your car, and you'd be right. This winch is the winch that Patrick rebuilt for his 80 series quite a long time ago, and it did eventually fail after being used on some hard trips. Now we're going to take this thing apart, we're going to look at what went wrong with it, and we're going to upgrade some parts to make it not only reliable, but also stronger and faster than it was in its factory form. So before we get started on rebuilding this thing, it is probably worth noting that I am no expert on high mount winches. This is actually the first one I've ever rebuilt. So before I've started filming this, I've looked at both Patrick's original video on rebuilding this exact winch and a couple of videos from Timmy Hashart, which are really in detail and explain quite easily how to rebuild one of these things. So just before we start taking apart the rest of this winch, let's take a look at what actually failed. I'm not sure if you guys remember, but the boys were on a trip with Tony from GME when Patrick's winch brake quite literally fell apart in a bog hole.
Oh, whoa! That's a free spool shaft. Oh no! Yeah, that's the shaft. It's just fallen in the drink. The whole drum's off the side. How the fuck is that?
It's like a split inlet hole on the outside.
Now we think that was due to this little circlip right here failing. Now this circlip holds the entire brake assembly to the brake shaft, and it is quite common for that to fail. Now the boys were able to fish most of the parts out of the bog hole, which has been very helpful because we're going to need them to get this thing back together. Some of these parts will be replaced and some we'll be able to clean up and reuse. But let's get right on into it and start taking apart the rest of this winch. Now this winch had a long life of hard four-wheel driving use, long before Patrick got a hold of it, so I'll be curious to see what it actually looks like on the inside once we get it apart. So with the two halves of the housing now split, I can get my first look at the gears inside of here. Now everything seems to be in relatively good condition apart from this gear just hanging in the breeze. Now that's due to this, which I believe is called the large cam gear. Now that exited out the side of the case when the rest of the brake assembly came apart. Obviously it shouldn't have done that. So this gear is just sitting here. However, seeing as the winch never ran after all that came apart, it's actually not caused any damage that I can tell so far. So the next step is going to be to start removing some of these gears from this lower housing. Now to do that, the first step is to slide this plate up, and that'll allow us to pull the brake shaft out the side of the housing. So with the first gear removed, we can take this plate right out. Now with that taken out, we can take the actual winch drum out. After removing the winch drum, this gear will roll freely out of the housing. And it's as simple as that. That is the main housing stripped. So with the gears taken out of the housing, I'm going to chuck these in some old diesel. Now you could use kerosene or a parts washer if you have one, even better. I'm just going to chuck these in some diesel, that'll break down all the grease, then we can get everything cleaned up, see how these gears actually look. Now while those are soaking in diesel, I'll start taking apart the top housing. So the top housing is pretty simple. We've only got a couple of gears to remove, the free spool mechanism and the electric motor. To remove the motor, we're just going to undo these two flat drive screws that run through the body of the motor and into the housing. Looking at the top of the winch, the motor was in reasonable condition, but most importantly, the gears were in perfect condition. There was some heavy wear on one of the shafts, but that's easily replaced. With all the components out, we could give everything a good clean up, lay everything out on the bench and figure out what parts we need to replace. The housings were all in good condition, and this is partly because these components don't generally wear that much. As for the gears inside that we actually need to reuse, they're all in great condition too, which is awesome news for us. The brake shaft had a little bit of wear, but that's getting upgraded for a stronger part anyway. Fast forward a week, now I've collected a bunch of parts so we can upgrade and rebuild this high mount winch. Since cleaning up the winch, I've actually noticed that a couple of small cracks have started to form on the drum end plate. Now I'm going to have to gouge these out, and I've got my mate Burjo coming over to help me TIG them up so this winch will be nice and strong. While Burjo's here, he's also going to help us out by welding on a brace kit to this winch. Now that helps with supporting the increased stresses and load that the winch will be exposed to, and it stops the drums warping under higher loads. With the housings all welded up, I also have to modify the housings in a few ways to fit some of our upgrades, such as the free spool delete kit.
So with all the repairs and the modifications done to the housings, we can give them a fresh coat of paint. I've got some black Valspar Industrial mix here to spray them with. Now this stuff is strong and it's going to look unreal. Fun fact, it's also the same paint that Liam's whole GQ is sprayed in, so you know this stuff's going to come up mint. So with a fresh coat of paint, let's stick this thing back together. We'll start with the top hat gear set. Now this is going to need some new needle bearings pressed into the log gear. Then we can assemble the gear set and mount it into the top hat.
So next up, we're going to install our free spool delete and our new Bullet 6.8 motor. So this winch gear free spool delete just goes into the side of the housing and bolts up with 4 bolts, same as the factory free spool.
The free spool delete kit utilises the original free spool gear and comes with a new spacer. So we'll put them in and we can also tap in our new bearing. Next we're going to install the new stud kit, which will allow us to mount the motor as well as mounting the solenoid to the back of it. I'm making sure to seal all the mating surfaces of the winch that could otherwise let water in and cause the winch to fail.
So with the new motor mounted up to the winch top hat, the next step is going to be to install our new Albright solenoid on the back of the motor. Now this simply sits over those extended studs on the back of the motor, and I've also got a bus bar kit to go with it.
The bus bar kit is super easy to install and will make the final installation of the winch a lot neater and the wiring a lot easier.
So that's the top hat all put together. I'm stoked with how this thing's coming up. It's really starting to look the part. So let's move on to the lower housing.
Before assembling the lower housing, I'm starting by drilling and tapping a thread for a grub screw that's going to be used to secure the brake shaft bushing. This will make sure it doesn't come loose or spin like the old one had. Next we're going to install the large cam gear onto our upgraded brake shaft. Then we can place the main gear into the lower housing, and then the whole thing can be located by inserting the brake shaft through the whole assembly. Next we're going to chuck the brake pawl on, making sure to lubricate everything with marine grease before assembling. Next we can assemble the brake itself. This consists of the outer brake discs, the brake pads, a bunch of lubricated ball bearings that the whole assembly spins on, as well as the brake ratchet. And then the whole thing is held together under spring tension via a bolt on the end of the brake shaft. With all of that done, we can finally put our freshly painted drum into the lower housing. Then we can attach our end plate and fix it all together with our newly welded brace kit. The last step before we close this thing up is to add some fresh gear oil. This is going to have those gears running smoothly for us. Then we can add some sealant, stick it all together, and this winch is ready to go.
Alright, so that is the high mount all finished off and ready to go. I am stoked with how this thing has come up. It actually looks mint compared to what it was. But I guess all that really matters is how does it perform. So let's get this thing fitted to a car, get some rope on it, and test it out. So I've got the high mount over to Paddy and Liam's place and we're ready to bolt it into the new bar. Now Liam hasn't seen this yet. He has no idea what it looks like from what it was before. So let's get him in here and see what he reckons. Liam, come on mate. Come and check this thing out.
I need a proper reveal because I'm only used to old worn out high mounts, not flashy new ones. So, oh wow.
Ta-da.
Mate, that looks spectacular.
Bit different.
Freshly painted.
Yeah, I couldn't help myself. I was just going to leave it aluminium and then I knew it would get all dirty and yuck, so.
Ah, that's too good to put in the car, surely. That's, that looks so good.
Yeah. And it actually, as far as budget, it wasn't actually too bad because I rebuilt it all myself. The parts cost was pretty much similar to what a good quality low mounted cost.
Okay,
so,
yeah,
and
that's awesome.
35 meters of sniper line.
Oh, hell yeah.
Which I'm actually keen to use. I haven't used.
Oh, that feels good, doesn't it?
I don't think it doesn't seem to want to tangle.
Oh, I can't wait to see this thing in there now.
I'm keen to give it a crack.
Chomping at the bit. All right, well, let's we'll try to fit it up, eh?
Get it bolted in, yeah. See how this thing lines up.
Yeah.
The Razzler bars are specifically designed to fit these worn high mount winches, so we shouldn't have any issues getting it bolted firmly in place.
It's just started.
We're bolting on a new winch fair lead at the same time, and then this thing's ready for a test fit.
There we go. Oh, it's a bit of weight in it.
Yeah, with that winch on there.
All right, first if we get it lift up.
Yep.
And then
tilting.
Tilt the dog.
Sliding.
After a test fit, we quickly realised that we're going to have to cut down the existing scrub bars for the new bull bar to fit, so we pulled it back off and pulled off the scrub bars. Luckily for us, the Razzler scrub bars are actually bolted to the side step, so you can remove the scrub bars alone and you don't have to remove the whole step. So with the scrub bars removed, we could go in for a final fit.
There we go.
Oh, look at that. It fits.
It does fit.
Wow.
Damn. Have a look at that, eh?
Straight off the bat, how much difference does it make from the old one?
Yeah, having a bar.
Like the old one wasn't a bad looking bar, that's just so much more aggressive.
Yeah.
And the approach angle on the corners,
Yeah.
like they're not big tyres, but even already.
Hells yeah.
So with the bull bar sitting correctly in place, we could bolt it up and then look onto modifying the scrub bar so they'd fit the new bull bar.
We could probably cut the end down and then with the bolts in there, like flex it in.
Yeah, just I think you're meant to have them under tension anyway.
I'd say so, yeah.
Yeah.
We've actually got a friend of ours bandsaw in our shed, so we'll be using that to cut down the scrubbies, and while that thing's working, we can move on to installing some of the other bull bar accessories.
It is nice having those infill plates there.
Straight edge out.
Yeah, well I got to see, because I don't think the car's sitting level, so I'll work out what angle the car's on and then match that. Yeah, right. Even managed to dodge the headlight. You guys might have noticed we've been running the King Chrome 18 volt brushless range of tools for a while now, probably for over a year, in both our sheds. These have been a really good quality tool for us. They're a trade grade or a trade quality tool. They run the same range of batteries across the whole range, so you don't have to carry around a bunch of batteries in your car with you or be always running around for a different battery in your workshop. If you've got a couple of batteries, you can have the whole range of tools. We use these flat out in the workshops and we're definitely going to be taking them on the trip with us.
Wow, so that one's sorted.
That's it, mate. Sorted, cut, re-drilled, hopefully the holes line up.
Yeah, so now it's just some paint.
That's it.
Wow, you wouldn't believe it, but this rattle can of black paint was literally in the GU when we bought it. So
golden.
Don't even have to factor it into the
Freebie.
budget. Free paint.
Yeah, the things you find in the boot of a GU.
That's it. Make sure to get all the overspray on the car.
Yeah, that's it. We'll spray it right here, yeah.
So we gave the scrub bars a quick lick of paint just on the exposed metal ends to stop them from rusting, and then once that was done we could install them back on the car and have them all fit up perfectly.
We'll give it the scrub test.
The scrub test?
Yeah. Oh,
that's
nice.
not going anywhere.
We repeated the process for the other side of the car, and then with both the scrub bars fitted up, we could step back and admire our handiwork.
Clamped.
Not bad, Dan. Looks like Razzler did it.
Certainly a bit more aggressive than it was before, eh?
Oh, look at that, eh?
Registered.
Mate, that, as soon as you put a plate on it, that means it's road legal,
Yeah,
right?
that's it. That's the way. So, that's the bar, winch, and the scrubbies all sorted out on the GU, and it's really starting to look tough. Now, I've still got to wire in the winch and the indicators and parkers on the bar, but we're going to wait until the car's back at my place to sort that out.
Yeah, so while we've still got it here with the hoist, we're actually going to quickly chuck it up there because we've got to do a couple little things with the suspension at the back. So yeah, we'll roll it in and we can sort it out. Now we're going to do some stuff to the suspension on this car, but you probably noticed that this thing's actually already got a lift in it. It's actually got a 2-inch big bore kit in it, which like that's the same as what Dan runs in his GQ. And our sort of thinking for this thing is like we want to keep this car, you know, low and wide. So, you know, big tires, but we'll get to that down the track. Don't worry about that just yet. But honestly, this stuff works really awesome. You've seen it perform in Dan's car. It works great. Paddy had it in his 80 series as well for ages. And yeah, we figured, you know, it's perfect for us considering we're on a budget too, you know, like we've chosen to put some more money into the bull bar and winch and things. But I think, yeah, the suspension's going to serve exactly what we need it to.
Yeah, 100%. So the reason we're going to replace the rear shocks today is that when we first inspected the car, we found that the rear shocks had the boots had been split, probably by sticks or mud, rocks, anything like that. The boots had actually filled up with rocks and mud and just, it was caked in there. It was pretty bad.
Yeah.
So I cut the boots open to have a look at them, and the shaft on one of the shocks was actually pretty chewed up.
Yeah.
Again, probably to have dragging the same rocks up and down. God knows how long they've been full of mud and that for. As I said, this thing has had a life before we bought it. It's not a pristine car.
No.
This one's also got a pretty decent dint in the bottom of it. Now, obviously you're not hitting that part of travel that often, but We might.
Yeah.
And last thing we want is to blow out a shock halfway through this trip.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
we're going to chuck a pair of new rear big bore shocks in it. They should be, I'm assuming, the same as what's in it, just new.
That's it. And the fronts were fine, so we can leave them alone and
Yeah.
should be all good. So let's bang them in.
That's it. Shiny.
Look at that. New ripper.
So that's got the new style covers on it.
Oh, it does
Instead
too.
of hoops.
Hard plastic. There we go.
So there you go.
Nice and solid.
Yeah, that's the same as what mine's got in it.
Ripper.
These big bore shocks have served us really well in our own cars in the past, and they should be awesome for what we plan to do with this GU. We're giving the shocks a quick cycle before we go to install them, which will ensure they perform well right out of the box.
So we're ready to pull the rear shocks out. Obviously we've got the car on the hoist and we've just supported the rear axle. Now when the car is off the ground like this, the only thing holding the rear axle up is the shocks. So obviously before you take the shocks off, make sure you've got the axle supported. Oh, we can start the never-ending argument.
Oh, no, there is no argument, Dan.
Which way does the shock washer go on?
No argument. No argument.
Look.
Shoulder facing outwards.
They knew mechanics were doing this because they put a picture there. I like pictures.
Oh, good work.
Look at that.
Oh, yeah. So that's exactly what Dan was talking about. So is it dirt or
I think it's
damage?
just dirt up the top, but down the bottom, that started to chew.
Okay.
Like considering how many, literally rocks were in there, it's done
Yeah.
pretty well.
And pretty much the deal is, the whole idea behind this shaft is a chrome-plated shock shaft. And obviously that's your sealing surface against your seal here. So any sort of pitting or, grooves. Yeah, corrosion or whatever. If that goes past your seal, eventually you're going to either destroy the seal or it's just going to leak straight away. So that's why you want to replace it.
Yep.
And not to mention the big old dent in this one as well.
Yeah, where's that?
Yeah, on that side there.
Yeah, there.
So, but that's why we've got a nice fresh one.
should,
So we'll bang this in.
Just out of interest, let's see how good it is. It's actually mint.
They would have gone again, but we're being safe.
That's actually...
Rear shock replacement on a GU Patrol is a fairly easy job, so with the old ones out, we could start prepping the new ones for installation and put them in the car.
So we've got the new rear shockers all in. They're all going to be working sweet for us. Now the next step is we're actually done with the hoist so we can get it down. And we're going to take the car across to Dan's place because he's got all the equipment there we need to properly wire up this winch and a few other 12-volt things on the bull bar. So let's drop it down and we'll drive it over there and keep working.
So we've got the GU back at my place and we're ready to start wiring up the winch. Now this is going to be pretty straightforward as we've got the solenoid mounted to the back of the motor. All we're going to have to do is run our positive and negative from the main battery to the solenoid and some switch wires from the cab. So the cable we're going to be using for this winch for both the positive and the negative is 00 B&S. So we'll run this for both the positive and the negative to the starter battery, cover everything so it's not going to short obviously. And I'll show you how we're going to isolate it because I think isolating a winch is important. For these winch cables, I'm using crimped lugs and I'm crimping them with a hydraulic crimper, which is going to give me a really strong connection to the cable and make sure these never come undone. With one end crimped, I can then run the cable through the car to the battery and then cut it to length. So now that's done, I'm going to drag these back out. I've just got to do heat shrink on the terminals and I'm going to put some sheath over it just to stop the cables rubbing through and we should be good to go. When doing 12-volt wiring of any kind, it's super important that you insulate your cables properly. You don't want these to rub through onto another piece of your car and earth out to the body. It can very easily start a fire, particularly with large cables like these for winch wiring, especially when they aren't fused. So that's the main cables all hooked up to the winch. I've also ran a negative from the negative point on the bottom of the motor around to the negative on the solenoid, so that should all be ready to go. Now before I go wiring it into the cab, I'm just going to jump it with a bit of wire just to make sure the winch works. This is actually a bit of a moment of truth because after all the work of putting the whole winch together, I haven't actually tested it yet, so let's see how we go. Alright, that's one way. And the other, she's sweet. So, next up, I've got to wire up a switch on this thing. We're going to chuck some rope on it and then I've got to spool it. So I've got the wiring for the winch switch run through into the cab. I am just waiting to get a switch in, so this is going to be a bit sketchy, but I'm going to spool it. I've just got a wire hooked into the cigarette lighter that I can feed the wires, same as a switch would, that runs out to the winch. and I'll be able to spool it that way. Now I'm also waiting on a wireless remote, so I've got to hook that up as well. But yeah, we're going to have a wireless remote and in-cab control, so bit of redundancy in case the remote goes flat or stops working or anything like that. We should be able to rely on the buttons on the dash.
Time to spool up the winch. Now to keep tension on the rope while I spool it, I'll be using my GQ as an anchor point. To attach the rope to the spool, it's pretty simple. I'm threading it through the hole in the drum, then tying a knot in it, and it'll just pull up against the inside of the drum. Now keep in mind, this knot isn't actually what bears the load when you're hanging off the winch. It's just there to hold the line in place, and then the first few wraps of the rope around the drum are what hold the load of the winch. Now I'll spool the first few wraps on by hand, just to get the winch rope laid out on the drum nice and evenly. Then we can jump in the car and use the winch to wind the rest of the rope onto the drum. Now for the finishing touches, I'll put some heat shrink onto the tag end of the knot, and I've attached our freshly painted original winch hook.
I will mention, and I did say it earlier, winch isolator. I think it's very important. All it takes is this solenoid to short out, or someone that doesn't particularly like you, they can mess with your electrics here on the bull bar, burn your winch out, or anything worse. So I think a winch isolator under the bonnet is a great idea. In saying that, we are obviously on a budget and I didn't want to spend big money on an isolator, so all I've done is put both the positive and negative going to this winch on the wing nut terminals on the battery, so we can just disconnect one of them. Literally undo a wing nut, pull the lead off. It's as good as any isolator. Obviously might not be as easy as having a proper switched isolator, but on a budget, that's going to do us just fine.
With the winch all sorted, and while I'm on the topic of electronics, I wanted to sort out the dual battery system. Now I did pull a bit of stuff out recently when cleaning it up, but I've since wired it all back up and the auxiliary batteries are now back in the boot of the car as well as under the bonnet. And we're getting a nice 14.3 volts straight to our second battery. This will be perfect for running any additional appliances. I also took the opportunity to test out any of the accessories on the car, such as the front locker, which after a quick test worked perfectly.
Well, the front of the car is looking a lot different now, but it's come together awesome, and Dan's obviously done a wicked job wiring it. I don't want to say that, like, I'd rather not have to use this thing. I hope we don't get stuck, but at the same time, I want to get stuck because that's why we got this thing.
That's it, mate. Yeah, I'm stoked as well with how the whole way of the front of the car's coming together. Everything's looking sick. So yeah, all the wiring in the front's done. Obviously winch and bars all sorted, but we've still got a heap more to go on this car, so make sure to keep an eye out for the next episode.
Yeah, and not to mention as well, make sure you go and check out the other boys' episodes. I believe Paulie's episodes is tomorrow night on the Forerunner, so I'm doing some crazy stuff with that. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Make sure you tune in for the next one next week, and yeah, cheers.